commercial, corporate and regulatory disputes. Sir has also worked with organizations like GAIL, Larsen & Toubro, Amazon India, UIDAI, Saint-Gobain. Additionally, Sir has been recognized as a recommended lawyer by Legal 500 Asia Pacific 2025. So, it is truly an honor to have you with us. We warmly invite you to take the floor.
Hi dear students, good morning. Quite an early morning for all of you to be here on a weekend, that too. So the discussion today regarding your internships and placements, you have to first understand that before the person reaches a law firm, his CV reaches the law firm, right? Your identity, the saying as they say that, your reputation precedes the name. Your identity, who you are, your name, all of that reaches before through your CV. So you may be very smart, very bright, very intelligent. You should be applying law to the best of your knowledge, should be very enterprising and engaging. But if your CV does not say that out loud, then maybe we are failing at the task we are doing. So how many of us here thinks that their CV is probably up to the mark? Can I have a show of hands? Okay. So ma'am, what do you mean when you say the CV is up to the mark? What according to you is a perfect CV?
Hello, good morning, sir. Shreya this side. So, according to me, what I think perfect CV looks like is ideal formatting and describing your experiences in brief so that the other person knows it well. For example, if my CV is built on corporate and commercial laws, I should be having brief experiences of all the corporate due diligence and whatever researches I've done, especially in the corporate and commercial areas. Thirdly, what I believe is all of my co-curriculum activities like publications, moot courts, and whatever I've achieved in college as well should be written well so that the other person knows it well. He does not need to comprehend it as कि it's not well formatted or I need to look for more, something like this. That's what I believe.
And how would you structure it? How would the headings flow? You will have your educational background first.
Right, sir.
Then
I have my experiences of all the internships, and thirdly, I have my moot court experiences. Fourthly, I put my publications, and fifth, all the certificate courses and diploma courses I would be doing or pursuing.
That's the correct approach.
Right, sir.
So please announce. So now, if you guys have heard your co-student, a good CV, as she rightly said, should have a uniform font. Don't have multiple fonts at multiple angles. Does not give a good impression. It should have the structure of education, then your experiences, then your moot courts, then your publications, and then any other extra co-curricular what you have done. Because and in education also, you should break it down into first your class 10th, class 12th, then your current law legal, your university and law semester at the law university. So that breakage, so that's step one, that your CV is uniform, it's neatly placed, structured, it is using the formatting at the right places, and then the content. So once the formatting is addressed, the content is the key, because if you have done some internship, say at an XYZ firm, how you are presenting the work done at that internship is very relevant. Because understand, if a law firm HR or say a law firm associate or any of the lawyers working in a law firm is having a look at your CV, if the content of it shows that the work you have done earlier is similar to the work they need you to do in the internship, that's an easy hack to get an internship. For example, So you have three different fields sitting here, right? Akshay is handling projects and energy in Trilegal. Achyut is handling IPR in Anand and Anand. I handle commercial litigation in DSK, right? So there are three different fields. Now, you can't have a uniform CV and expect to get an internship from these three areas. Your experience in a commercial litigation is irrelevant for Akshay. Your experience in projects and infra is irrelevant for me if I have to choose an intern for commercial litigation. So understand the wordings, the content, the experience you have done. And I'm not saying, for example, if you have done only corporate internship, but now you want to do a commercial litigation internship. Of course, if you have no commercial experience, you cannot write. But at least you can word it in that manner, right? As lawyers, first of all, I need someone to tell me what do you mean when you say we want to be a lawyer? Who will answer this question? What do you mean? What, according to you guys, means, what does a lawyer do? What is being a lawyer? इतना मुश्किल सवाल है क्या? भाई 5 साल यहाँ रहोगे, क्या करने आए हो यहाँ पे? पेरेंट्स ने भेज दिया, नहीं यार सारे आंसर्स का आप ये जवाब कौन दोगे? नहीं, not fair, not fair. Yes. Okay, that's one. Someone else? Okay, what else?
I might be having a time who would say that this would be true and saying for other things that it's not true. So interpreting it in both ways.
Correct. Anyone else? Having legal expertise makes you a lawyer. Trust me, there are so many businessmen who have legal expertise but are not lawyers. Today, ChatGPT can give legal expertise to anyone. Yes, ma'am. That's similar to what she also said, interpreting the law in a manner. Yes. Anyone else? Okay. So, representing, of course, I won't say that is being a lawyer, that's your job, right? Representing a client is a job of a lawyer. Advising a client, again, a job of a lawyer. But do you know, lawyers are called social scientists. Why? Why do we call lawyers as social scientists? Because lawyers deal with people. Engineers deal with whom? Machines. Doctors deal with? They are people also, but they deal with a running human machine. We can't call it a person. It's a human machine they deal with. Chartered accountants deal with numbers. Any other profession. Think of any other profession. Teachers deal with students. We call teachers also, but again, students and humans, we can, of course, teachers are teaching something. But as far as law is concerned, lawyers, imagine a scenario. A client approaches you, irrespective of whatever field you are dealing with a human, right? He'll give you the legal work, whatever it is set in his company, if he likes what you're suggesting. If I can talk about, I think that applies to almost all the three practice areas. Once we prepare a case, we go to a courtroom to argue the matter. You're dealing with a judge. He may be good, he may be bad, but you need orders from him. So again, you're dealing with a human. आपको orders एक human से निकालने हैं. He may be cranky that morning, so you have to understand, you have to realize how to get an order from a cranky person. So at the end of the day, it is about dealing with people. The second important task is dealing, as two people in the student said, that one is finding the loophole, second is interpreting the law. Interpreting is words. How we are using words. There's a huge emphasis on how lawyers use words. I'm sure you would have seen those forwards on Instagram or otherwise that wish you a Merry Christmas, and then how a lawyer would write wish you a Merry Christmas. Would have seen those forwards. That to some extent explains what a lawyer's job is. The reason why I'm emphasizing on this words is your CV and the work you have done is also words which are being sent to a firm under your name, and that's where we are judging you. For example, if you have done internships in XYZ firm where you researched on some law or you made an opinion on some law, now it was a corporate work, assuming, but now you have to apply for a commercial litigation internship, right? You have to play with words. I'm not saying you completely negate the fact that it was a corporate work. You would say that advised and assisted ABC client to find a way forward in a possible issue arising from this law. Now, once you word it like that, it's not coming across as a corporate internship, right? Advising on issues is both. Even litigation lawyers advise on issues, corporate lawyers advise on issues, IPR lawyer, projects lawyer, everyone advises on issues. So you made it generic. You removed the technicality of a corporate internship and you made it generic, right? Because, and why you did that? Because you're applying for a different stream now. Now, similarly, if you are applying for, say, you interned in say, a coacher firm or in any other tier 2, tier 3 firm in a corporate, and now you want to do a corporate internship in a tier 1 firm. So now you need expertise on the technical work you did in corporate. So your CV will be revised basis that. Are you guys appreciating the wordplay which is required in CV? Yes or no? Breakfast kam kiya hai aaj? All of you stay in hostel? Was it a pain waking up so early in the morning? And that too for a lecture. आज का अटेंडेंस मिल रहा है नहीं मिल रहा है? फिर तो एनर्जी होना चाहिए यार. अटेंडेंस मिल रहा है तो sorted. So yeah, wordplay is very important when you're drafting your CV. Structuring, as we have discussed, your education should come first, experience, notes, publications, co-curricular. Please don't add photos in your CV. I have seen so many CVs coming to a firm adding photos in the CV. That's the last thing you want to do. If you want your CV to be rejected, add a photo. So don't do that. And don't write your name with a bigger font than other things. Have a uniform font. आपका नाम पढ़ा ही जाएगा. It's not that अगर आप उसको cursive writing में 28 font देके लिख दोगे तो हम आपका नाम याद रखेंगे. नहीं होगा. And always write your phone number, email address, and your address. You know, from where your residential address. Always write those things. Also, don't write your class section. You know, whatever class you are studying in your law school, don't write those sections. Because there are email IDs. I think Jindal has this problem. I don't know if you have seen it. Their email IDs have those sections. For example, let's say, it says Sakshi Agarwal if the student, then it becomes 16B, section 16B @ so and so. Don't do that. Not. I mean, it's too confusing. It's everything. As the moment the fact that you guys have started being a lawyer, हर शब्द जो आप बोलोगे उसका पैसा मिलेगा. Never forget that. Lawyers क्या बेच रहे हो आप? Engineers are selling their product. मशीन बना के बेच रहे हैं. Lawyers क्या बेच रहे हैं? शब्द. ओपिनियन देते हो, पैसा लेते हो. क्या दे रहे हो ओपिनियन में? कानून तो वो भी है. वो डायरेक्ट पढ़ के वो क्लाइंट खुद अपना देख के he could find an answer. But when you write it and you sign it, they'll pay you. Right? कोई रिट बना रहे हो, कोई अपील बना रहे हो, कोई एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हो कोर्ट में, तो जस्ट उसकी क्लाइंट ने जो आपको कहानी बताई है उसको आपने पेपर पे लिख दिया एंड नाउ यू आर चार्जिंग बॉम्ब फॉर इट. सो व्हाट आर वी सेलिंग? बोलो. ये चीज बहुत क्लियर होनी चाहिए अपने दिमाग में कि व्हाट आर वी सेलिंग. एंड इफ यू नो दैट वर्ड इज योर प्रोडक्ट, then how carefully curated, mastered, and the finish with that word should be. How many of you have seen lectures or YouTube videos of, say, Kapil Sibal or Abhishek Manu Singhvi or Mukul Rohtgi? अब मुझे एक एक चीज बताओगे आप लोग, आप क्या सीखे उससे, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम यू एट द लास्ट. You look similar.
Now you tell me his name.
Yeah, that's what I said. You look similar. So is it continuing even now?
Unfortunately, because of the tendency people have like stop in between.
You're working with Varun, I remember.
Yes, sir. Varun, sir.
See, that's what I said. Yeah, please tell me.
Still trying to learn that, and their words are really layered. For example, like specifically followed the way he explained, even when he put forward related to GST. The way he was very, it was addressing it was not a bench. The way he explained the matter, he made it so easy, although it was very complex. Even I did not have expertise in that GST or nothing else. But he made it seem so interesting, seem so simple that I was even able to grasp what was the issue and what he was trying to put forward across the bench. Even as a layman student, I was able to grasp what was the issue, and he already made it very easy for the bench to understand what was the issue. And as a lawyer, I think your job is to make things easy for your associate, for your partner, and eventually for your judge, for your client. So if using your word, you are making it easy for the judge to understand what is the issue, what you are asking. Eventually, you will get a relief and you will be a better lawyer than others.
That's correct. So, anyone else? Let's train. Can we have mics, because you both also participate? No?
This one?
I mean, let it be interactive. वो ऐसे monologue में is not fun. And then let us have mics for everyone. So yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
So basically, I was interning in February with the competition law team at a law firm. And so one of the basic tasks that we had was to observe the proceedings that were going on before the Supreme Court. And one of the cases was of the WhatsApp privacy case that was going on, that the CCI had filed an appeal before the Supreme Court. So in that matter, WhatsApp had accepted the conditions it needed to comply in order to, in the order of the CCI, and Mr. Sidhi was arguing the matter. So therein, in the way that even when he was accepting what were the mistakes on behalf of WhatsApp, he maintained such a rigor before the court that all of his reasons that he was accepting seemed like a very reason, and in a very communicative manner, he was able to convince the court that they would be complying with the conditions for their timeline. The court, even although the matter was adjourned for a later date in the time also, Mr. Sidhi was the one who was able to hold the room in a manner that Supreme Court, the court that was sitting and hearing the matter, did not have a choice but to agree with the timeline Mr. Sidhi was proposing. So, in a way, I feel like being convincing in a way, and at the same time being respectful of the bench. But two things that he was able to navigate very beautifully in that, and also as somebody who was just a student of law at the time, I could also understand what he was trying to say, and in a very concise manner, he was able to summarize all that has happened up until now. So that was one of the traits that I observed.
Correct. Who else? और किसी को अपने व्यूज, अपने विचार व्यक्त करने हैं. So there is a very famous quote by Albert Einstein I guess so. I mean, I'm not sure if he's the original author of it, but it says, if you cannot explain it to a 4-year-old, you have not really understood it yourself. तो कितना भी complicated matter हो, now competition law, complicated matters, taxation disputes, complicated matters. I'm sure the WhatsApp privacy matter was a complicated matter. So litigation में if you are with a big firm, I don't think कि कोई भी uncomplicated matter आएगा. Complicated है तभी पैसा मिल रहा है, right? So if it's complicated, then it's, as a lawyer, it's your job to simplify it. So for example, I was doing a dispute wherein a steel plant was to be made by X company for Y company. Now, you guys would think, ठीक है, steel plant बनाना है ना, क्या इनका, what all claims they have, what all disputes they have, complete हुआ नहीं हुआ, that is relevant. But no, you have to understand what is a blast oxygen furnace. You have to understand what is a medium structural rolling mill. You have to read up on it. क्योंकि अगर आपको अपना आर्गुमेंट रखना है तो वो कहाँ पे फॉल्टर हुआ, अगर आपको खुद ही समझ में नहीं आएगा तो आप जज को क्या समझाओगे, right? So all of those things become very relevant once we enter the domain. I'm sure with the projects and infra also, what Akshay does, it's not simple. And dealing with energy is one of the most complicated topics to deal with. And to simplify it and present it to the larger crowd and mass, it's very pertinent that each one as a lawyer, law तो ठीक है, law is your domain, पढ़ लोगे, but edge कहाँ पे आएगा? Edge आएगा जब आपने engineering का काम भी कर लिया. Medium structural rolling mill क्या होता है आपने वो भी पढ़ के समझ लिया. तो जब आप client के साथ बैठे हो, client is impressed कि यार इतना तो मतलब he is speaking my lingo. मेरे वर्ड्स, मेरे फ्रेजेस, मेरी टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज कर रहा है. ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स मैटर. सो कपिल सिब्बल, मनु सिंघवी, मुकुल रोहतगी, अरविंद दत्तर, ऑल ऑफ दीज स्टॉलवर्ड्स ऑफ आवर प्रोफेशन, दे टीच यू दैट आप उनके पास एवरी बिग मैटर गोज फॉर अ सिंपल रीजन, बिकॉज दे नो हाउ टू सिंप्लीफाई इट, प्रेजेंट इट टू द कोर्ट एंड गेट एन ऑर्डर. ऑब्जेक्टिव पता होना चाहिए, ऑर्डर मिलना चाहिए कोर्ट से. ऑर्डर कैसे मिलेगा? इफ यू आर एबल टू कन्विंस द कोर्ट, कन्विंस द जज दैट योर स्टोरी इज द वन टू बी बिलीव, नॉट द अदर साइड स्टोरी. दैट इज हाउ यू गेट एन ऑर्डर. सो yes, I think that's CV में any doubts, any questions you have, that's, I think that CV का that's much about it, what I've told you. Photos मत डालना please. Don't do that. And हाँ, and another thing, जो अपना email लिखते हो ना आप लोग जब अप्लाई करते हो, don't copy paste. I have emails जहाँ पे तो some people get access to partners email IDs also somehow, I don't know how, I'm yet to figure that out, but they do get access to partners email ID and then they write emails forgetting the gender of the partner. क्योंकि वो एक ब्रॉडकास्ट टाइप की ईमेल भेजते हैं जो दिवाली होली पे आप मैसेजेस भेजते हो, एंड भूल जाते हैं कि ये वाला पार्टनर तो मेल था, इसको डियर मैम क्यों बोल दिया, या ये वाला पार्टनर तो फीमेल था, इसको डियर सर क्यों बोल दिया. सो यू रियली थिंक कि एनी पार्टनर अगर भूले भटके उसने वो मेल खोल लिया, आई मीन आई हेट टू बर्स्ट अ बबल हियर, बट यार it's very unlikely that an internship email sent directly to a partner will receive any response. But अगर गलती से वो email खोल गया और उसमें dear ma'am लिख लिया, will I read that email any further? So I understand when I was in my law school, I mean the three of us, rather the four of us here are from HNLU. So when we were in a law school, we used to send 50 emails every semester for internships, right? I completely understand the pain. I completely, empathize with you कि भाई बहुत मुश्किल है internship मिलना. You won't believe when I became a partner in DSK Legal, the first thing I did was I went to my managing partner, Mr. Anand. I said that when I was a law student, I applied almost every semester for an internship in DSK Legal. I never got it. Because now I know क्यों नहीं मिलती थी, because now I'm inside the system. So if you are sending emails as a broadcast, कुछ नहीं होगा. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ 50 ईमेल मत भेजो, भेजने 50 ईमेल ही पड़ेंगे अगर इंटर्नशिप चाहिए तो. But every single email should be tailored. You should first read about that person you are sending the email to. बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है. अगर आप पार्टनर को भेज रहे हो, 1 सेकंड लगेगा गूगल पे जाके उसका नाम डालना, उसका फर्म के वेबसाइट पे उसका प्रोफाइल होगा, लिंक्डइन है. Read about that partner. Once you know what he does, cite something what he has done. That is where you catch his interest. Right? Once you've caught his interest, then at least you can expect the possibility of a response to be more than 10%. So these are very fine. I'll give you an example. I interviewed this candidate. She didn't make it though. I mean, she was good. She was a rank 1 of her law school. Some NLU only. I was interviewing her. I mean, she was in the final round. I interviewed her for almost half an hour or maybe 1 hour. Unfortunately, she was not able to answer the questions I had from the work she had done. But because she said that she has done white collar and criminal matters, white collar criminal matters. But when I gave her the questions I asked her and she didn't answer at that point of time during the interview, a week later, she sent me an email putting all those questions in a piece of paper and her answers. Now, it was completely unwarranted because I had in the interview itself, I had made it clear that, see, you know how your interview went. So her email read that while I understand I could not respond to this, to the questions during the interview and possibly lost one of the best opportunities I had. But just to close the loop, I am putting my thoughts and answers to the questions I was asked. Now, I would not have responded. I mean, we don't respond to such emails, unfortunately, because client के ही emails बहुत होते हैं respond करने के लिए. But I responded to her. I gave her another question, and which was a fairly detailed question. It was a technical question. She get back to me after a week with a response to that also. Now, and her email में she specifying कि उसे पता है नौकरी नहीं लगेगी, फिर भी she is putting in the efforts. What does that tell you? ऐसे कैंडिडेट को हायर करना from a partner's perspective is a good job. क्योंकि जब बंदा बिना किसी रेसिप्रोसिटी के इतना एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट कर रहा है तो वो बंदा जॉब में भी उतनी ही डेडिकेशन डिलीजेंस से काम करेगा. सो दीज आर सॉफ्ट स्किल्स व्हिच यू गाइस शुड लर्न. सी आई अंडरस्टैंड इंटर्नशिप में हमने पता नहीं क्या ही काम किया था, याद भी नहीं है. बट हाँ, अच्छा काम करोगे इंटर्नशिप में तो रिकॉग्निशन और रिकॉल वैल्यू बहुत रहेगा इफ यू डू अ गुड जॉब एट योर इंटर्नशिप. नाउ she just met me for half an hour, 45 minutes for an internship, for a job interview, which didn't happen. But I recall her stay that, okay, that was out of 20 candidates who gave the final round and then 5 candidates who gave who had the round with me. I recall that one candidate who reached out, who responded to those queries. So all of these things you should keep in mind if you want to be a good lawyer, enter a good law firm. Always remember, आपका हर शब्द का वैल्यू है, so use and choose your words very wisely. All okay at the back? So yeah, I mean that's about it. Any questions for me? कोई सवाल नहीं है.
Sir, considering the CV, sir, I have a question as what should be the length of the CV? Should it be a detailed CV or
2 pages?
2 pages.
Any CV more than 2 pages is a waste of time.
Sir, what about the details? Should it be very much detailed that I have done research on this particular issue in a very moot court competition or in an internship, or should it be just very summarized form in a point?
See, if you have to cover 2 pages and you think that issue is something which is very trending at the moment, then of course you should mention it, because that will catch attention of the person reading it. But if it's just generic research, say you have researched on Article 21 or you researched on some random Section 34 of the arbitration, which is a, the run-of-the-mill kind of work, there's no need to mention it in more detail. So that's just occupying space. अगर आपने कोई बहुत ही ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग काम किया है which you are proud of, because remember, अगर आप डिटेल लिखोगे तो उस पर सवाल आएंगे, and if questions come, you should be in a position to answer those questions. So again, summarized for generic, for niche work, make it detailed. Of course, I mean, the certificate course is on a topic which is of a value addition to the team who's hiring you as an intern. They do hold value, because if you're applying, say if you're applying to Achyut's team as an IPR and you've done a certificate course on an IPR topic, then of course your CV tells us that apart from the thing what law school taught you, you have done something additional which could be used by him. So there it would add value. What are the questions?
My question is more restricted to fourth and year students because once you get an assessment internships, the team has certain expectations from you so that you can, join as a trainee or an associate later on. So what are the qualities that a team looks for in an assessment intern?
See, I think that question Achyut would be best suited to answer. I'll tell you the reason for that. Partners, it's very rarely that partners are working with interns directly, right? It's at the end of the day, it's the principal associates, senior associates, and associates who are actually day-to-day engaging with an intern. So I can tell you partner's perspective. What we do if my principal associate or my senior associate comes to me and say that, see, I've been working with this intern for a month and she's good, then I'll take his or her word. I'll not interact with the intern at that moment. I'll take his or her word that, okay, she's good, we should hire her. I'll forward that email to the HR that, okay, we want to convert this assessment intern into a PPO. So how you should operate is a domain which I think Achyut can answer better. Yeah, any other questions?
Like one aspect that I would want to just add is that a question that I think a gentleman over there had asked, the one with the tie, that should the CV be long or short? In addition to what Mahip mentioned already, that the CV should be no more than 2 pages, what you can cut down the clutter from your CV. He has also mentioned formatting, which is quite essential, precision, conciseness, all of that elements that make your CV readable. Your CV should be able to breathe. Your CV should not be so cluttered that it's difficult to even make one statement out from the other. So there should be no borders. It's not a wedding invitation, right? It's not a felicitation. It's not a participation certificate. Your CV should not contain an about me section. We are not here to, let's say, do a roka for you or whatever. Your CV is already talking about what you have accomplished and done. Your name is already there. So we don't need an about me section talking about that you're a football player and everything. Everything should go in the right boxes at the right place. Like a football player shouldn't come on page 1. Many people have seen that they take the hobbies section also very lightly. They will just cite reading, writing, wanderlusting, whatever. You should focus on what you are best. Even if you are very good at reading crime novels or maybe like cooking food, you should mention that special element and just 3 to 4 words. Bas. You never know who is reading your CV. Maybe the partner reading the CV always loves to cook dal at midnight after his work. You don't know who's reading it. And the moment he sees it, oh, he's an avid chef, let's schedule an interview. It will be great speaking to him. I've seen interviews where interviews are not about the law or their work at all. They have one hour they have just discussed about the legend of Ashok, or they have talked about public policy, because the CV resonated with the partner. उनको मालूम था कि the CV is already there. The person has that knowledge. We just need to see people skills.
Correct.
Whether they're able to interpret, whether they're able to talk about stuff that is not just law, because that is what is needed. You will be put on stand, like Achyut does litigation. वो ये नहीं बोल सकता कि वो इसके बारे में तो मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है. He is put there on the spot. Now, if the client asks him a question or the judge asks him a question, he cannot plead ignorance like we do in moot courts. He has to come up with something at least. I mean, he would obviously not fap, but he would come up with something that at least is in his domain and channel the conversation that way. The idea is just that. I just wanted to add the.
No, that's a very valid point which I actually missed about me. It's as disgusting as a photo. Don't add it. किसी को नहीं जानना है. Understand, your CV is different from your Tinder and Bumble profile. Both can't be similar. सबका content अलग है. Yeah, you had a question by the back?
So what I could understand was that, so yes, it is true that if, let's say if I am applying for an internship with you and you are interested in a certain field, be it football, and even I am interested in it, and now you so again, I'm just trying to highlight the subjectivity of this. So sometimes, let's say if I'm applying for an internship with sir, he's not interested in football, he would reject my CV outrightly. He'd be like, why is she talking, or why has she even mentioned it? But if subjectively, if I'm mentioning I like this, I feel like it's a very perchance.
Yeah.
It works and it doesn't work. So that's.
Do you believe in luck?
I'm a fourth year student going into fifth year. So I should
believe in luck.
Every single CV that has come to my desk, which, if at all, mentions photographer, no one in my firm does photography, only I do. This guy out there, I just had a conversation with him. It's a chance that it comes to my desk. It's a chance that it doesn't. That's just a chance that you have to take, because nothing, you lose out on nothing from adding those 3 words. And the objective of adding those 3 words is to have a hook. I have 17 CVs in front of me. All of them have an experience in IPR. Where do you stand? What is it that will interest me in looking at those 2 pages? Because for you, it's 2 pages. For me, it's 35. It's just a hook. So yeah, that's all it is. It is subjective, of course. All of this is subjective. Law is subjective.
Even in my application, sometimes what I've tried is, so there was something going around on LinkedIn recently that one of these person was doing this thing where he was working for like 2-3 companies at one time. I'm forgetting what the term was for that. Moonlighting, yes, apologies. But at the time he was doing moonlighting, and he had a very simple, like a very one-liner sort of an email that he used to send to these people. These people used to suddenly become interested who this person is. So even I have tried that, where in internships where I thought that, maybe this might not be, this might not be accepted.
Did it work?
So it did. So at that time, again, I understand what sir is also saying.
Did you also come across that post where that guy spoke about a shield of failures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't implement everything that you see on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can misguide you grossly.
Yes, sir, but that was my point.
But see, that's what, just to add to Achyut's point, that people who don't want to read that will skip it. They wouldn't think the way that you just mentioned it, that they would read it and they're like, football, मैं तो cricket खेलता हूँ, नहीं चाहिए मुझे ये. They will ignore it. But if somebody is an Arsenal or a Gunner fan, or he's a Gunner, right, Arsenal fan, तुमने hello, football and Arsenal fan, I've seen people landing jobs that way. I've seen them. Because they're intrinsically smart. They're saying that कि काम तो सब कर लेते हैं, right? After a point, anybody can do it. It's not number crunching, but paper crunching, word crunching. But what do you bring to the table? That's a very interesting and a very powerful line, which gets ignored a lot. What do you bring to the table? But that is what it is. We are living in that age. We are living with AI. So what can a human bring to the table? That is very important.
Okay.
And also keep in mind, see, when you are tailoring a CV, ये वाला section tailor नहीं करना है ना. तो ये तो आप कॉपी पेस्ट कर सकते हो फॉर एवरी एप्लीकेशन, क्यों इस पे डिबेट करेंगे हम?
No, sir, it's just a,
अगर हम हर सेमेस्टर 50 एप्लीकेशन भेज रहे हैं, द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ यू बीइंग अ फुटबॉल एंथुजियास्ट एंड one of the possible 50 audience also being a football enthusiast, is a good shot, worth taking it.
sure, sir, I'll keep that in mind.
Any other questions? Not relevant, because lawyers are not big fan of summaries, judges are. So summary is good if you're applying for a judicial internship, not for a law firm internship. Okay, सवाल जवाब? We clear with the CV thing? I hope all of us here are now well versed with how to make a CV. We'll move on to the next phase then. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for those insightful words. It's now my privilege to introduce our next esteemed speaker of the day, Mr. Akshay, sir, Counsel at Trilegal. Sir specializes in energy, infrastructure, and project finance law. Sir is a gold medalist from Tewari School of Advanced Studies, New Delhi, and pursued international studies in nuclear law from Université de Montpellier, France. Sir, we are truly honored and grateful for your presence. We warmly invite you to address us.
Sorry to interrupt the session, but Mahip sir has an urgent work to attend to, and I'm also very thankful to him that he came out of his schedule. Thank you, and I'll be seeing him off. Akshay sir will continue the session. Thank you.
Thank you guys. I'll be taking over.
Hello. Yes. Mic test. Oops. It was wonderful to have Mahip speak before me. We used to share the same corridor in the college, in the hostel, and now we share the same dais. So it's wonderful where we have come. Unfortunately, he was not able to hear the statement. He's walked off, but I'll make sure he does.
Just to interrupt you, my first proper interview for a job was Mahip, and I knew commercial litigation. I had all my internships were there, but there was one very simple, stupid question, and I'm just putting this out there as an example. He asked me, and people who have done internships, when you go to brief a senior counsel for an appeal, it's a very simple question. When you go to a senior counsel to brief him for appearing in an appeal, what is the first document that you're going to show to senior counsel? I said I said 1,500 things. What I didn't say, and now that I'm in the profession, the first thing that you're going to show him is the order that is problematic. It's the impugned order. It's a very simple answer. I fumbled that. Just an example of how you can lose out on good things when you forget the basics. Please.
Very important opening remark. I think precision, clarity, and few words that I said earlier, structure, formatting are very important in the field that we're in. If you, let's say, oversimplification to the maximum extent is good, but if you over-summarize, let's say if you elaborate a lot, your CV running into 3 pages, your summaries and internships, which I think Achyut will talk about, running into, when you have to scroll them, you scroll your emails like you're scrolling Instagram, they don't work. Your email should be such that it can be read on a phone, need not be on an iPad or a laptop. So I'll just take away from what Mahip spoke about. These things he's already spoken about, how to be within the limit and get your point across. What I'll talk to you about is how to get people to read what you have written. It's essential you have spent days and hours of your time on writing your CV, but how do you get the relevant person to actually open that email, which is, I think, a very big barrier. Because the more students that we see, opportunities being limited, and people, I think, targeting certain firms certain practice areas because others have done so in the past. What is essential here is finding the path and how to navigate that. Few shortcuts that I have, and the ones that I used to do, I'll briefly tell you. Now we are in a situation where you already have a CV, and now you need to think about whom to target, whom to send. And you are looking at, let's say, a few top firms, a few firms that you know of, few firms that your seniors have interned at, and you are targeting the HR departments of all those firms and sending mass emails, right? Broadcast emails, sending the same thing. I just spoke about changing a few things, tweaking a few things. Problem here is you do not have a target set in your mind. You have 10 or 20 firms shortlisted and you have sent them, and now you're going about your day thinking that I'll just follow up with them 1 week later. One of them will respond, maybe two of them will respond, and then I'll follow through them. Here what you're doing is, not factoring in the fact that you have not set a target. What you should do instead is that once you have your CV, and it differs also from which year of the practice or which year of the law school you're in. If you're a first or second year, it wouldn't matter that much, but if you're, let's say, in a third year, fourth year, you should now start feeling, or you should now start having that feeling as to which area you're drawn towards more. Are you drawn more towards standing at a dais, speaking, convincing the other person, or do you have that skill set which has more prowess in written words, not speaking words, right? Are you a drafter, or are you a speaker, or are you a public policy specialist? Do you want to interpret laws? Do you want to draft better laws, right? You figure out which path enlightens you more, attracts you more, and then you start preparing a short listing of the firms or the places that you want to target. I always have this funda of 3 categories. The topmost category, you keep places which you are which you most likely would want to go for, not more than 3 or 4. In the middle section comes the mid-tier, not mid-tier firms. I'm just talking about those which you would be happy about getting, or also not feel or not worry about if you don't get them. Those you can expand. You can have a list of 7 or 8 firms that way, or a place, or advocate, or chambers. And the last bottom rung are those are your fail-safe. If you don't get anything, at least get something to do. It's not always important to intern. Sometimes what you can also do is, if you do not get into any of the first or second category, if you don't get any firm, do not get disheartened. What you can do is pick up a new skill or a new certification course. Certain certification courses, like you mentioned, will matter, not all. I would never want a Coursera certification course to be there on a CV because I know how they are run. They're not that important. But if I am reviewing a CV, it does not belong to my practice area, still I would refer to it. Why? If a certification course is from an institution which has a mark of excellence, or is taught by tutors which have a mark of excellence. So I would consider them more, even if it's in a public policy area, but is in the field of IPR. I would consider it. Why? Because the person has gone through that rigorous and gotten that certification by being taught by the luminaries. So what I did once in my third category, when I did not get any internship in my first 2 lists, I studied French. I ultimately did not end up giving the exam because I was very much interested in nuclear law. There were no firms in India doing nuclear law. Now you must have seen in news in December that government has overhauled the entire law. All of my learning is now coming into play because now nuclear law is coming into fore. But going back in time, I studied French. Why? Because I was targeting back then international firms. By learning French, and many of the European firms want a dual bilingual lawyer. They don't just want English. Everybody knows English now, even Chinese do. So what do you bring to the table? Going back to that same question, what makes you different? So I studied French. And doing that, I attended that course that I think the person who introduced me spoke about. I went to France and I studied it. Now, did it impact my career? No. By not getting an internship, it didn't. What I did was made use of time. Even if my internships did not go through, person did not review my CV, I made use of my time. Learn a new skill, add to your CV, and then target that industry. So always draw that list out. And second point in this case is, it is not always the fact that you should in your first bracket always target the top 4 tier firms or whatever the Ivy League firms there are in this country. It's not the case. Once abhi aisa lagta hai, now sitting in those seats that you're sitting in, it feels, oh, it's glamorous, it's this, that, the top tier firms. It's not. Once you get out and learn the practical aspects of law, you feel that everyone is standing on their own 2 feet. They're running their own practice. It's the people that matter. People in mid-tier firms have books or have matters which are worth more than what a tier 1 partner would have. So in your shortlisting, don't always shortlist the top 4 firms, Trilegal, Khaitan, CAM, SAM, ये सब नहीं. Top 4 में वो होना चाहिए which team or which area interests you the most and which practice or which people in those practice attract you the most, who have written about it. वो भले ही कोई भी firm में हो. But if you have certainty कि उनके साथ काम करके you will get rigorous training in that subject area, then you can go anywhere. It's not always that the name on the tag matters. It doesn't. We all are here sitting in an NLU. We have also studied from an NLU. We used to figure that the NLU में पढ़ के तो we'll have career paths all set. We will be differentiated from other class of people. कुछ जगह ऐसा होता है जहाँ पे एक ऐसा क्लब बना हुआ है, NLU club and everything. But उस क्लब में तो हम लोग नहीं आएंगे. Because that club goes way back, decades old. That those kind of NLU club. तो उसमें हम लोग नहीं आएंगे. So we figured that it doesn't really matter whether you are an NLU or not. You are on your own 2 feet and you need to find your path. So ज़रूरी नहीं है कि you only target those 3-4 firms. There are good people doing good work outside of it in their own practice areas. Many people leave those top tier firms, start their own practice. And those firms I feel are very good for training because they are running their own shop. You're not just doing law there. You're also participating in business development. You are actually reading, researching the law so that that partner can go to the clients, meet them and develop the practice. So you're not just researching on case laws, you're participating in actual firm building. And that teaches you a lot about the business. It's not, after a point, it's not just doing law, it's the business of law that you have to slowly transition into. The sooner you get it, the faster you will climb the ladder. So I previously also recently told someone they were targeting only these 3-4 firms and कि acceptance नहीं आ रहा है, rejection भी नहीं आ रहा है, पता नहीं क्या करें. Idea, that's what they were doing, they were mistaken. The moment they switched to a firm because through my consultation I figured that they like insolvency law, they like discussing about NPAs, how to bid for and get bankrupt assets and जो भी है. I gave them a reference of some firm which only does this. It's a specialist firm with 20-30 lawyers. They only do IBC work, IBC litigation. So it's not a team within a big firm. The entire firm does this. So they obviously would take interns in thorns and thorns because they only do this. तो सारे interns ही कर रहे हैं. They got an internship and they got a pre-placement offer in the second interview. And now imagine if that person continues to do that training in 1 year, 2 years, that's core IBC work, he's well placed to go anywhere. Like I never interned in a law firm. All my 10 internships, not a single law firm. And the first job I got is in a law firm. Now, I was also told by many people that you have to intern. HNLU से तो job नहीं मिलेगा unless intern नहीं करोगे तो, because we don't have partners sitting in firms back then when we were building it up. And हमारा कोई godfather नहीं बैठ है कहीं पर. So you have to intern. I chose a different path for a different reason. I wanted to do my masters. I wanted to become one like money and become a teacher. So I did not do any law firm internship. I continued to read. And the more I read about energy law. I continue to read about it. I still do that aspect. I still do that. I practice that area of law. So it's not certain that, and you would always get bogged down by looking at people कि यार उसने 2-3 internship निकाल ली, उसका तो life set है. He has worked in 2-3 tier 1 internships, एक जगह से तो PP हो जाएगा. Not certain. Even if you do not have a single internship, you can still land it by the tips that we guys are giving you, that if your CV is there, your knowledge is on point, you don't have a plagiarized article on your CV, you don't have a article on your CV which is a paid for publication. Even if you write blogs, that's your own word. तुम अपना खुद का blog भी डालोगे, a reasonable person will read it, and we do it. I make it a habit to have people put links on their CVs to whatever their authorship is. I make it a point to go on that link and read the quality of work, because otherwise CV pe to whatever is, it is summary. But your drafting style comes across from a written piece of material. So you need a hook, as he has already mentioned. And that is very important. Now, once you have shortlisted the firms, once you have done this exercise of shortlisting what is your A game, B game and C game, and C game I bhi to koi problem nahi hai, but let's say A game mein you have shortlisted, you have sent across, in your email what do? Do you write a long cover letter? Not necessary. As I mentioned, I don't want to scroll. The moment I see a long, pardon my French, but a long ass email, when I have to scroll and read, कि पहले पैराग्राफ में लिखा है who are you, दूसरे पैराग्राफ में लिखा है where did they read about me, तीसरे पैराग्राफ में ये चौथा. No. Keep it very simple, keep it to the limit, and highlight in your cover letter what are your key achievements. Maybe bold, formatting karke make them bold. If you're a top rank holder, make that in the bold. I'm a gold medalist, I'm a rank holder, and I want to intern in this team because this is my area of interest and I really want in. The other thing is, many people, what they do is, they find out people through LinkedIn and message them with their CVs. Uska success ratio would be, I think, just in 10%. It works for people who are LinkedIn chats, who are constantly on LinkedIn and writing about their CV of failures and everything. Maybe they would want to interact more. I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because it's very, it misguides a lot. It moves me away from my path as well. So I get a CV on LinkedIn. It's so difficult to open it, to navigate it, to talk to that person because I don't get notifications of LinkedIn. So it's not a good medium, I would say. Email is the best medium. The other medium is WhatsApp. Everyone is on WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is very personal that way. You can only do that for people whom you have spoken with or have knowledge about through that reference. If you just get a random number and say, I got a number from this person, here is my CV, that message will also likely get ignored because first of all, you are approaching their private space without telling them ki number kahan se mila and everything. So don't do that. Email is the best case of action. Targeting the relevant people in that firm is also the best case of action. Mahip mentioned if you email the partner, they won't read it, which is true. And now it goes back to luck. It's 50-50. Certain partners look at a CV directly in their inbox and may want to give you an internship. I've seen that happening, I think 3 out of 10 times, not all 10. But that's what. You can target within those ABC category, which firms do you think HR will not respond to? If you respond to a firm which has, give your intern application in a firm which has around 1,000 lawyers, imagine the HR. HR would receive 2,000 applications on a monthly basis. What you need to do is timing. Time it in advance. It's a strategy. It's part of it is, I think majority of it is optimism people believe in. कि मैंने CV भेज दिया अब तो मैं expect करूँगा कि मुझे कुछ ना कुछ आ जाएगा. That optimism slowly starts running dry the more you run into or you seep into those summer months or winter months. You need to apply well in advance. Strategize your follow-up. Follow up 1 week after you have sent the application. And always make sure that you have somebody in the 2 category, but you also have somebody in the CC. Maybe it is the domain partner, make the partner in CC, but always address it to the internship wing or recruitment wing or HR wing, whoever it is. Direct, I would say board email addresses like HR@Trilegal or something will also get ignored. If you can find through some medium, ki this is that person who works in HR, mark them in CC, don't address it to them. So that the email also goes in their private inbox, and then follow it up after a week. After 2 follow-ups, if you're still not getting any response in a month, drop that, move to your next target. It's because you have limited months for a internship in June or July, you would start applying by January or maybe December, so at least. You need to get ahead, get that window, because people don't take not more than 10 interns. And if you have a concise practice, if you have a very specific book and targeted practice, you wouldn't take more than 3 or 4. You don't need a bunch of interns, because beyond a point, it's not incentivized also to pay them and get work out of them. Other time, kaam nahi milega. So don't go to a place where there are plenty of interns, less work, because output kuch nahi hai. Just getting a tag won't help. Just getting a tag of a big firm, big name won't help. If you are able to identify the practice area that draws you, either write articles in that, maybe write blogs, anything, but just get to writing. Read about them continuously. Consult with someone that you know about, or somebody whom you know practices that thing. Attend seminars, conferences, maybe or webinars that talk about that subject. And ultimately then finally track people who are working in those sectors. Energy, for example, is a very specialized field. IPR is a very specialized field. Not many people are doing it, and those who are doing it, they're doing it right. Because if you're not able to do it, then you're not in this practice. There is no purpose of being in this practice otherwise. Because it's not that abhi IPR kar rahe hain, suddenly kal hum criminal law karna chalu kar dein. It won't work. So if people are doing it, they're doing it right. So targeting is very important. I'll just look through my notes as to my other points as well.
Akshay sir, maybe you want to touch upon general academic writing, because that's something that you had guided on. It helped us a lot.
It did. Just drawing from my own personal experience, as I mentioned earlier, when you are talking about academic writing, pushing content out is very important. Don't just target the quantity of publications, target the quality. If you get even a good one publication that you can put in your CV, it would matter. By one of my internships that I did, because none of them were in a firm, I did one in a public policy think tank. When I interned there, I was working on a government-sponsored study in Atomic Energy Commission-sponsored study. I worked there. I got my name as a research, research associate on that project. Made sure that the person authoring the report gets my name on that list as well, because after a point when you have worked, it matters how you convince the other person to give you the credit. Otherwise, काम सब कर लेंगे, लेकिन अगर तुम्हारे में वो fire नहीं है to get that credit, because nobody will hand you anything in life, especially in this business, it's very cutthroat. People will trample over you and take that credit themselves. So unless you have that fire to be able to extract that credit for them, कि मैंने काम किया and I need that credit on my CV as an intern, because as an intern you can't target bigger publications unless you have a lot of weight. So in your internships you can catch hold of somebody, या तो उसका co-author बन जाओ, या उसके research assistant बन के get your name on a credit, then you can mention all of those. Even as a research assistant, you are assisted, you are not the author, mention the paper in your CV and cite that you provided research assistance to this particular research study, and it is available. A working paper series also, if it's not published, the working paper is available at this link. Even if you have not published that paper yourself, maybe you and your friend are working on a paper together, you're yet to formalize it, publish it, because it takes time. It takes 3 to 4 months to get an article published. Cite that as a working paper. If you have it on a link, let's say a Google link, which is publicly accessible, put that as a working paper series version 1.0, put that in a CV with a link. Now, even if it's not published, there is a forum for a reviewer to read what you have drafted and review the quality of your content. And that becomes very important. You do not need to have 10 publications. You need to have 3 or 2 or 4 which matter. Any questions so far? Yes. Take the lady in the back and then the gentleman in front.
practice areas which have a larger worldview of understanding things, like let's say if general corporate is there, general corporate does a lot of things, but energy and infrastructure is a niche field. So as a student applying for, let's say, an energy and infrastructure, which is a niche practice area, what are the requirements that I need to have as a law student? So,
Sorry, just a question. So your last part was if you are applying for a specialized or general field, which one is it?
no, sir. For a specialized field internship, I want to work in a specialized field. So what
Right.
all requirements I need to have for that particular niche?
Requirements mentally or in your CV? Which one?
So in my CV, like what all work experience do I need to have?
See,
So
as an intern, you can't get, there is only a limit to which your work experience can go, because I think in India before internships we don't really work as such. It's only after college that we start thinking about yahan training. Nobody in school works on research projects that matter. Science fair, yes. Volcano bana liya, yes. But nobody does work that matter that can be put in a CV. Right? Unless you're a football player, which you can mention, school, district, whatever. So in a specialized field, knowledge is one. How you exhibit that knowledge is by publications or let's say by content. Working paper is one. The other thing is purely just mentioning that interest somewhere in your CV. Maybe as a hobby itself. Maybe in a way that invites or hooks the audience. Like for nuclear energy, for me, apart from that one internship, I did not have any other. I may have one publication. So what I did was in each section of my CV, in my internship section also, first there is a degree, there is a diploma degree in nuclear law that gets mentioned. Then an internship somewhere in nuclear. I make it a point that I highlight the energy aspect of it up front. So while the reader is scrolling through, they get bombarded each time or peppered. The CV is peppered with these bullets at each scroll, so that you keep getting drawn towards that one aspect. Now, it's how you pick up those certifications, how you pick up those training is all within your control, how best you utilize your time. Because you might have an interest in, let's say, IPR, but अगर कुछ किया ही नहीं है IPR में, then how do you show your interest? You can't. Maybe the starting point is then catching hold of someone who is interested in IPR, writing an article together, co-authorship, and then that's your start. At least something should be there. वरना out of thin air तो everybody will think कल को इसका interest IBC में होगा, मेरे को CV भेजने के लिए IPR में डाल दिया and sent it. It wouldn't matter that way. Keep picking up skills, upskilling yourself, because internship सब कर रहे हैं. What do you bring to the table?
okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, you had a question. Yes. I did. I had a science plus economics. I liked the subject economics as well, the pricing of things. That is why what I liked a lot was regulatory economics. The economics of regulation. Why is power priced the way it is? Why is it always that tariff is reducing, not increasing? Stuff like that. The way I hooked, in fact, it's an interesting story. The way I hooked my first job is that I was a student at Tewari University studying infrastructure and business laws. No, in Tewari University's first course, first batch of LLM students were us, batch of 20-25 students, all practical. We had a partner of Deloitte who was studying with me. So it was the first course. What we did was we invited guest lecturers from not just people who were proper professors, people who were in the industry. They used to come guest lectures because it was Delhi, it was easier to come. We had a partner from Hemant Sai Associates who had come, and he had started his own firm, Niti Niyaman. So he was speaking about electricity regulation. He was taking a credit course. I made a presentation on some power purchase agreement as part of my course study. What that did was that hooked an interest, that this guy is interested, this guy is genuinely interested, maybe because he picked up a subject, picked up a power purchase agreement, and out of his own interest made a 30-page risk analysis sheet. Everyone else did 2-pager, 3-pager. I did not have to make a 30-pager. That was not the course requirement. But I knew this is my chance. I'm not gonna get a seat with him focusing on me for 30 minutes in an interview. This is a classroom. He's gonna focus on me because he has to mark me. So that was a full practical or a viva, let me say. I did not have to give an interview. When he established his own firm, I graduated, he gave me a call saying that if you want to join, we are not paying that big of a salary, but we are a group of people who can teach electricity, and if you are interested, come join us. I joined afterwards. तो कोई law firm का internship नहीं था, कुछ नहीं था, but it was that one hook, that conversation, you never know when that clicks. Maybe you're having wine somewhere and you get that person that they like making videos. You never know. Maybe they like making videos as well. Conversation stretches for 30 minutes and that person says, come to my office, let's have a chat. Then chat converts to a training program. ऐसा मेरे firm में there was one associate who has joined my team. I thought he's just interned, got a pre-placement offer and joined the team through the usual circus, usual cahoots. Turns out no. That person emailed my managing partner Akshay when he was in the third year of law school. He said that I'm very interested in regulatory economics myself and the idea of regulation, and I'm very interested in this outside of firm business that you have started. He had started his own public policy advisory and think tank because he had left the business of law and started his own public policy advisory with a gentleman, public policy enthusiast. So he applied, or he mailed him over there, not his Trilegal ID. He mailed him over there, said that I want to intern with you. I want to do this training program. Wahan se he interned. He got his research publications and then made his entry through Trilegal in a placement route. कि oh, you have worked with the managing partner. Great. अच्छा इस चीज में ये तो उनका pet project है. तुमने इस पे काम किया. Wow, great. Questions? He has already done that. He has already made that path. So he is already familiar. He is known. और उसके बाद में क्या चाहिए? It's a people business. Once you are known, you have crossed that one layer. You are at least an outlier. Sorry, I forgot what the question was, but I think I rambled. But never mind. Any further questions? Or I'll give the floor to my good friend.
Thank you so much, sir, for those insightful words. I now feel equally honored to introduce the third distinguished speaker of today's session, Mr. Achyut Tewari, sir, a senior associate at Anand and Anand. Sir specializes in intellectual property litigation with deep expertise in matters relating to patents, trademarks, copyrights, and competition law. Sir, we are deeply honored by your presence. We warmly invite you to share your views with us.
Thanks everyone for having me here. One quick quip. Akshay sir is known as his research and his learning is mostly, as far as I knew, now he's of course expanded into a lot of stuff. He was the person that we knew as, there is no one in India who does nuclear law except Akshay sir. His name is known as the Duke of Nuke. Still, and I think as far as I've met people outside, he's one of the foremost authorities on nuclear law, at least in India. And with this opening up, you're going to be seeing a lot of him outside. Mahip sir now was my senior from college. He was one of the first people who introduced me to the idea of litigation. And a lot of you must come from first generation backgrounds. Litigation is not something that is advised to first generation lawyers, but he opened me up to the idea, and as it turns out, here I am. That's all I do these days. And I was just telling them, the morning that I wake up and I don't get to court is not a very good day, but here I am. So you've called me here to speak on essentially what to do once you reach that office. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to get people to notice you and make you an offer? What is it that I or sir or Mahip sir are looking at when we have you in front of us? See, you have to understand that now you move beyond the regular rigmarole of words and writing. Now it's just your ethics and your conversation that you're putting up in front of me. You are going to tell me that this is what I've worked on. Okay? You're going to tell me this is what you're willing to work on. Okay, very good. But I who has 12 hours a day in that office and don't want to spend even a minute more, I will have a very specific requirement from you. I'll tell you, this is what my problem is. I'm looking for a solution. What are you going to give me? And at least personally, and the mentors that I have had, 8 times out of 10, I don't care if the solution is right. I don't. What I'm looking for is, are you dependable enough to get me something? And you would be surprised that if I talk to 10 interns in a month, only 4 get back to me with the work. You would be surprised by thinking, but everyone wants a job. Everyone wants to work with people. Everyone wants to get into a good position. People don't respond. You think it's a problem for you to get partners to respond to your emails? I have the same problem with interns. There's n number of times where I give them some work and I say, and I come from mostly your generation. I'm not like Saturday, Sunday. I don't need all that. But if I'm asking you Monday 12 p.m. can you give me this, and you say yes, I'm going to expect it by Monday 12 p.m. Then you can't come to me on Tuesday morning, oh sir, here's the work. No, the matter's gone. It was on Monday afternoon. This is not worth the paper for me anymore. So the first thing that I look for is dependability. Can I trust you? Because if I'm trusting you, I'm giving you something to do, you have to get back to me with that. Then only can I take this conversation forward. If I don't trust you, then I'm not going to let you into my business. No. It's a cutthroat business, as he said. You might be a competition someday later, sure, but this ethic is not going to take you forward. You need to be dependable. And the second thing was that I noticed with a lot of people, what you study here in law school is, and everyone knows that you're not going to be using that out there in actual practice, maybe like 5%, 10%. So I'm not expecting a lot of knowledge out here from you. No, if I ask you, this is a particular problem in patent law, it's a simple question, can you research on it? 7 times out of 10, I also don't know the answer. I'm also going to go home and read up on it. And I want you to read up on it. When you give me that answer, you have to build a conversation on, because I'm not going to take your word for it. If I give you a proposition X and you answer me that the answer to this proposition is Y, I am not going to take your word for it. You have to give me something. It happens so much that I give them a problem, they come back to me with an answer, but that answer is not supported by anything. There are no case laws. They said, I read it somewhere. Yes, very good. That's how we do the job, but show me where, because no offense to anyone, but you're an intern. I don't trust my partner with stuff until unless I've read it. My partner doesn't trust me with any of the stuff. I've been here in this business for like 5-6 years now. They don't trust it until they've read it, because it's my word that's going to go to the client. It's not your word. You need to have backing. These are the basics, by the way. You need to have backing about what you're talking about. Then it's also important as a junior to be available. There is so much conversation around a work-life balance. I think it's so much that we've moved beyond that conversation to an extent. The sad reality is there's 1.5 billion of us here, just us. And the second statistic is the rise in terms of quantum of students for legal education has been, I don't know, upwards of 35%. Last metric I read somewhere. There are 35% more students joining legal education every year than the previous year. This is 2024 statistic, if I'm not mistaken. There's no dearth of you. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just laying out the statistics here. That many people are there doing this. So if you're not going to do it, and I remember this from a partner from Karanjawala, a senior partner, she put it up on LinkedIn. She said, she had some work. She called up a junior. The junior didn't respond for 2 hours or so, unavailable. She picked up someone else for that work. That work got done in 1 hour. And that shifted the senior partner's loyalties towards the new junior as compared to the previous one who had generally been handling work. I'm not saying this is a regular. I'm not saying when you've built a position for yourself, it is that easy to take it away. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying your availability matters a lot. I understand that you want to have fun on weekends. Sure. But you also have to balance out whether that weekend is going to be a working weekend or not. There are, especially in litigation, there are rarely any Saturdays or Sundays where I don't have briefings. I have briefings scheduled for the next 3 weekends already. One of the reasons I couldn't come to you in your last, whenever you guys had last called me, I think February or something, was because I had briefings scheduled. Now, if a senior asks me to be there, I have to be there. That's just the reality. You have to be there. You have to be available because the work arises at the spot. It's not some 3-month advanced timeline where I'm going to tell you, July 6th, I need this draft. No, that's a very far timeline. I don't think that's how, not just litigation, I don't think that's how it works anywhere in law. We're on a much shorter timeline. If you're available in front of me, you're going to get the job done for me. You're the best man for me there. That's how it works. So if you're going to get into an internship, your working hours are 9 to 6:30. No one goes out at 6:30. I'm sorry, no one. We have a strict policy, at least in my office, that if I'm hiring 10 interns, everyone can go out at 6:30 except 2 people. Out of 10, 2 have to stay till 8. Because if I'm coming back from court at 5, I will give you the work at 6. And if you're leaving at 6:30, the work is not getting done for the matter that I have tomorrow. So that is also another important consideration, that you have to be available. I don't want twiddling thumbs thinking, कल आना है कि नहीं आना है, पूछ लो, सामने से पूछ लो, मैं खुद बोल दूंगा, नहीं, कल नहीं आना है, कल छुट्टी है, no worries. But if I want you there, I will expect that kind of responsiveness. I'm not saying you have to be on the phone constantly, no. But I expect dependability, I expect trust, I expect responsiveness. These are the first things, the initial things that I look out for, at least when I'm considering a candidate. Tell you an anecdote. There was this person from Jindal. She interned with us for 2 or 3 instances. She was very keen on working with us in intellectual property. At one point of time, as luck would have it, all of the times that she interned, we didn't have a vacancy for her. Last month, my partner says to me, we need to hire another person. Do you have someone in mind? And out of around 73 CVs, I rejected all of them. I went back to that candidate because every single time I gave her that job, she was available to get it done. I could trust her. She's not the best studying student. She's not best with the grades. No, by far. She has a decent rank, somewhere in the top 50s. Her answers are not always correct. They're good. I can work with them. But what matters to me is that when I text her, she's around. She can get it done. I can trust that if on a certain evening at 6, 7, a senior asks for a stupid note to be done on a matter, I can sit with her. I can ask her to be with me. I can explain it to her and she can prepare a draft for me. That is what matters, and that is what is going to get her the job. That is what you have to build out there when you're with those people. And you have a very limited time frame when you're talking with these people. So you have to be very precise. You can't be having a conversation. Of course, you build a conversation when you're out of that zone. When a partner calls you, which is rare, by the way, partners generally don't call you. When a senior associate or an associate or a principal associate calls you, they also want to get their work done and leave. So as soon as you have a hook about what is it that they want, and please don't leave their desk until and unless you know what they want. It has happened so many times. I explained something to someone at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. in the afternoon. They come back to me at 4, 5. I didn't get the question. What were you doing for 4 hours? तुम लंच में आ जाते भाई, मैं समझा देता फिर से. It's I don't get what you were doing for 4 hours and then you come back and expect me to explain it to you all over again. I will do that, sure, but now I'm not looking forward to your output. Whatever you send me on email in terms of an output, that is just going to go into my archive. I'm going to look for something else. Either I'm going to do it myself or I'm going to give it to someone else who I trust more. So you need to have a conversation with the people in precise terms as to what do they want. Be clear on the deadlines. A lot of people say, okay, good. Yeah, this is the work you want me to do. Sure. Very well. Fantastic people. Then they come back 3 days later. I wanted it today. Maybe you could have asked. Mostly it's me telling them the deadline. Yes. But at times I forget. And they come back to me much later when that job is already done. No, I don't need that anymore. So you need to build good conversation with those people as to their expectations. Because people come up with expectations that you won't even be sure of. You need to ask them, sir, ma'am, or whatever, first name basis, when do you need this by? And what is your expectation in terms of structure? What if I want a case brief from you? There is a judgment. I want you to brief me on that judgment. There are 2 ways to go about it. You prepare a note. You pick up pointers. You make a 2-page note on everything that I want and you give it to me. I read it in my own time. I maybe have a conversation with you later. The other way to go about it is, which works more often, is to highlight what you think is relevant in a hard copy. Give it to me. Because what you write down is your commentary of what you read. And what you highlighted for me is what the judge said. What do you think I'm going to rely on more? Basic stuff. So, but that's not all it is about. At times I need to brief a client on that aspect. Then I'm not going to give him a highlight. Then I need that summary. Ask. Always be clear on what the expectation is from you. If you're going to fumble with the manner of the deliverable, then you worked on it. You did a good job. It just doesn't reach the conclusion. That's a total loss for you, for me, and for everyone involved in this circus. So you need to be clear on the expectations that are being put forth in front of you. And what else? What else do you see?
Let's say I'm an intern sitting in this room, right? I get an email from you with no instructions in that email, but I just get a forwarded email. In this fact scenario, what is the expectation of an intern, let's say?
The first thing would be to read. Half the people just come, they're too excited to meet the people in the team. No. First read. Did you read the email? That's the first thing. Go down the trail. Maybe there are some documents, some annexures. Go through them. I don't expect you to understand them completely. But you should have enough idea that if I tell you document number 3, page 74, this paragraph, you should be able to locate that. You should have context before you come to me. And then you come to me and discuss it. I'll tell you what I want. You can get it done. But read. That's the basic. And see, this is the part that we miss, I think, generally as interns. It's not that tough a job as long as you're sincere. It's not that tough a job. You have to take care of the basics, and most of the sincerity reflects in your work and you get hired. That is all I look for. At least I look for, and that is how I've seen recruiters behave in most of these scenarios. They don't care what law school you come from. They don't care what research papers you've written. The recruiters, the partners do. 2 different things. Your CV being shortlisted is a different ballgame altogether. And you reaching there after your CV has been shortlisted is a different ballgame altogether. Then I don't care about the CV. You might have come from, I don't know, Menaka Guru Swami's chambers. One of the finest litigators out there. You might have come from Sai Deepak's chambers. Okay, good. But are you here with me on this question? There's also something that I think, especially in niche areas, that this is a little trick. Not a trick, this is a little learning. When you're putting forth a research note or you're giving some opinion on something, please always do background research as to what is the stand of the firm on that subject matter. The lines are, especially in IPR, I'm not sure, maybe even in energy law, there are always sides that you take in law. For instance, my firm is an innovation heavy firm. We strongly advocate for protection of intellectual property, for intellectual work that has gone into in creating something as basic as a logo or something as complex as a biopharma patent, a medicine. We strongly advocate highest standards of protection. Then, if you come to me and you tell me, no, this is too strong a protection, I think these laws should be diluted, which is a fair opinion. I'm not saying I'm no one to tell you what opinion is right, what opinion is wrong. But I'm telling you that opinion is not going to get you hired in my office. So you need to be clear on what side of the line is this organization standing on. That background research is necessary. And with AI, just give it a prompt. There is so much publicly available data that you can talk about. Even if you put my name out there in ChatGPT with my designation, you will find a ton of data in public that even I don't know of, by the way. I did it. I went into an incognito, an incognito mode. Yeah, of course you do. You go there, you search for various people. You will get context that you wouldn't, because it scrapes through the data that wouldn't come up in your Google search. It's good to use that tool. Get background context on what the firm does. Those are things that people won't tell you out loud, because we don't want that going there. Or I don't want you knowing what the stand of my firm is when you sit in the interview with me. No, I don't want that. Because then you have the edge rather than me having the edge. Yeah, and okay, there are a few notes I had made when Akshay sir and Mahip sir were there. CV, I think most of you are clear. Yeah, courtrooms. Okay, that is something very important, especially in litigation internships. There was a question, I think, about explaining it simply to the court, and then there was also a question about science background and stuff like that. It ties back to my earlier answer. You do not need expertise in a subject matter to try out that subject matter. I have seen this with my own colleagues. I have a science background only up until class 12th, not beyond that. I took law as a conscious decision because I was interested in science, but not so much that I would want to deal with it on a daily basis. I have colleagues who have zero background of science. The last science that they studied was some basic organic chemistry in class 10th. And they are some of the finest patent lawyers in this country. Your job as a patent lawyer or as any technical person, at the end of the day, is going to be of a lawyer. There will be, I have 400 people in my firm. Out of those 400, I think 80 odd people are engineers and doctors, whose job is to tell me what to tell the judge. So never get into a conversation with yourself ki, oh, but this is not my background, I can't do this. No. The people over there don't know any better when they started off. Didn't know any better when they started off. You can do it. It's just about making that active choice that this is what I'm going to do and then doing it. This job was not my first preference. My first preference was get into general hardcore litigation, go to the High Court, Supreme Court, do all that stuff. As luck would have it, this was an opening. One of my Achyut sir, Achyut Sri Kumar, he was a partner in my in this office at that point of time. So I was having a conversation with him one day, and he said, this guy's team is looking for someone. Why don't you join us? We do litigation as well. And my immediate response was, I don't know. I am an IPR honors. I didn't know anything about IPR. That's just something I did. I don't know what the reality here in this college is. I didn't know anything. He said, you come, we'll see. And that's how I landed this. And this is the best thing that has happened to me by far. I like the subject. I like dealing with the people over there. And it's great learning to take into account what the science is and put it before the judge, because the judge also doesn't know any better. The judge at the end of the day is looking for help from you. Your job is to assist the court. Your job in the law firm is going to assist your senior to assist the court, but it's the same chain. Where are you going to take that chain forward? Assist the court in the manner that you think it can simplify their lives. You come up with a note, you come up with a brief, you come up with an animation. Some of you are good at animation, drawing stuff. You come up with flowcharts that can simplify the business of the day for me, for the judge, for the opposite side. Sure, yeah, that's a good day's work. That's going to put you ahead in that whole race from 15 other people. Yeah, think about that. Think about innovative solutions that you can come up to that will make you stand out in such scenarios. Again, background research becomes important as to how does that office approach this particular question. There's also something called personalized and impersonalized approach, which with larger organizations, Trilegal, Khaitan. There's a more impersonalized approach. You can't sit at a coffee table with the partner and have a chat as to what his idea about taking this litigation forward or taking this project forward is. It's rare, at least at your level. In chambers and with individual lawyers and small teams, it's much easier. That, and as sir very rightly pointed out, you do not need to constantly target the top 3, 4. No. It's better if you start from a smaller place, you learn the ropes of the trade, and then you move to a bigger pond. It's much better because that gives you a lot of context. See, the difference that happens is in a larger setup, when they hire you, they already have a designated role for you. This is your square. You're going to stand in this square and you're going to do this, which is all very good work. No problem about that. But your square is defined. In a smaller organization, of course, there is a square. But if you step outside that square, it's not going to be a problem. In fact, it might even be incentivized. So that personalized approach of how you deal with problems is something that is very important as an individual to grow in the trade. You need to have knowledge about not just law, but business of the law. You need to be a problem solver, not just with respect to what your client wants, but with respect to what your HR wants, what your accounts team wants. Out of 20 calls I get in a day from the client, 5 of them are about law, 15 of them are about procedure ki, sir, aapka invoice kaise clear karna hai, stuff like that. So that is also, who's going to solve that for you? You can't expect your partner to be doing that all the time. So those are also the things. Senior counsel calls you, paise nahi aaye, how are you going to deal with the client? Paise kyun nahi aaye? Basic stuff like that. So it's important to have context in smaller organizations as well, which give you a much broader spectrum of exposure with respect to your skill set, which is not confined to law. It's about being a businessman. It's about being a people's person. It's about being a good negotiator. It's about teaching people, mentoring people, a lot of things, a whole lot of things that as an associate in a tier 1 firm, there's only a limited amount of mentoring that you can do with the juniors that come to you. In a smaller setup, that's much broader. You're the only one who's actually mentoring them. The senior's not going to be doing that. That's another scope that you can look at. Then, what else?
Like one thing, if I could pose a question to the house, how many of you really ask feedback from the people that you're working with, or let's say you delivered a product to sir on the dais?
Show of hands.
And the ones who don't do, let's hear from you as to what is the expectation. Are you expecting that at the end of it you will ask, or you don't feel the need to ask? Let's say the one who didn't raise their hand, the gentleman beside the pink hoodie jacket person. You didn't raise the hand, right?
We're not trying to put you on a spot. I'm just trying to have a conversation.
Just a conversation as to, let's say, I want to hear a perspective from ones who do and the ones who don't. Ask for feedback.
Do you want to start with someone who does?
Yeah, maybe the one who does. Anyone who does. Yes.
Please.
And how frequent do you ask? Is it after each deliverable? Is it at the end? And how do you ask?
So what I did, whatever was my understanding, and I used it in AI and I drafted it. I gave it to sir, I asked for a feedback, and he got back to me the second day. He called me and he said, "क्या बना के दिया तुमने?" And he said, "तुमने petition की तरफ से reply draft कर दिया, तुमको responded की तरफ से." So and I responded in left, right, center, and that same day I worked on it for 5-6 hours. I got back to him, I drafted it, and he gave me this draft had been prepared, and then they could be drafting कर दिया. And I said, "सर, ये चीज़ सही नहीं है, तो हर एक पैराग्राफ का रिप्लाई ड्राफ्ट करना पड़ता है, ना कि खाली एक पर्टिकुलर चीज़ का." So that is something that I learned, and it stayed with me till now. And will never give me it.
Okay, small clarification on the question. Why did you go and ask for feedback?
Secondly, I feel which one of the major thing that I handed over to me. Mostly it was like going to court, visiting the hearings and everything. This was the first drafting work that I handed to me, and I wanted to do it properly. So that is the reason why I went for the feedback.
Okay, now pick any of your friends from around you who did not ask for a feedback. Do you know anyone? The lady beside you? Did you ask for feedback? Good morning. You can sit down, ma'am. Yes. Why didn't you? Tell sir why didn't you?
Oh, mic drop.
Wild card.
Okay, that could happen. But let's now switch it up. The question that I want you to also address is, let's say, is it better that after each deliverable somebody comes to you and asks for feedback? Does it bother you, or would you rather have them come to you after they have delivered a series of products so that you can then assess and maybe guide them better? Or which one works better in the outcome, on an outcome basis?
See, generally,
You can sit down.
yeah. Generally, you need to have a little bit of reading the room going on. How busy is the person in front of you? So when you bring a deliverable, you give it to him. An hour, 2 hours later, don't just directly reach them. Maybe you have their text or whatever, or you have what are those inline systems. Just call them and check if you need something else on that, or is there a response on that. One line short thing. It is appreciated generally, at least in my office, that you're checking up if there's something else needed. But if you're asking for a general feedback on who you are, no, that's not going to happen with at least before 2 weeks. I need to have worked with you at least 2-3 days to give you a feedback on what is the quality of output. See, most of 9 times out of 10, there is some error of some sort or something that does not sit in with the standard that I have for myself. So I will myself tell you, see, this is not correct. If you've done it so bad that it is irretrievable, I'll tell you, yeah, okay, I'll deal with this now. Thank you. And I won't speak to you further. But ideally, just follow up on that particular deliverable. And maybe sometime later, 2 weeks, when you've built a sort of rapport with that person or persons, then you can ask for a general feedback. The general feedback, of course, because they don't have context and most importantly, they don't have time. So yeah, I think that's the way to go about it. What is your thought?
Like very, very much aligned, because I have people come to me, let's say after each deliverable, let's say they delivered something in the morning, and then by evening when I'm about to, let's say, send out the draft or struggling to solve the whole issue.
Yeah.
So how was the research? Was it proper? Now I'm in no position to tell them that none of it was helpful for me. But there are no nice words, nice way to put it. So I put them on another mission. Search for this thing a bit. Just go out of my area right now.
Don't be here. Not in my peripheral.
Not in my periphery. Because as he said, it's important to read the room, the person that you're working with. The person is continuously out there before the coffee machine making his third espresso of the day. You can maybe ask for feedback. You can see that that person has a very light day, right? Or if the person is continuously sitting at his bench trying to look at a screen and not scrolling Instagram, you can see कि यहाँ कुछ काम कर रहा है, उसको feedback अभी नहीं मांगना है. Maybe on a lighter day, if he is stepping out, maybe going for a smoke, not the unparliamentary
for a Diet Coke, whatever.
Diet Coke. You can just then at that moment in time speak to him and consult him कि हाँ ठीक था. Maybe you want me to switch up something, maybe add more interpretation. That's important.
Also, that takes me to another point that Sir said when he talked about those 3 baskets, top 3 places that you really want, then 7-8 mid-tier places that are not a problem, they're decent, and then your final fallbacks. At each of those places, what I've seen works the most is, especially in the last rung, is having a contact. My first priority when I entered litigation in my third year of college, when I properly made up my mind that this is what I'm going to do, was to have at least one chamber or two chambers or two lawyers that if all goes south, this will at least let me sustain in this city. Because living in a city like Delhi, if you're doing litigation at least, or whatever, sustaining yourself is very important. So you need to have certain fallbacks, certain contacts that nothing works out for you. There is a place for you. I'm not saying that's your dream place. I'm not saying that is even anything within your circle of targets. No. But you need to have something to hold on to. I don't want you picking up a flight from this NLU going back home. That's not a very beautiful scenario for you to, unless you have something to go forward from there on, of course. But otherwise, it's a very sad flight back home. So you need to have something that is important, that backup, the final straw. And more often than not, it's a small world. All lawyers know all lawyers. Well, okay, not all, but most of them know most of them. You will get somewhere as long as you have your foot in the door in the industry somewhere. It's more about choices that you make with respect to a subject matter than what you actually want to do. And you will find your way out there at some point of time. मोदी जी ने अक्षय जी को नहीं बताया था कि वो बिल लाने वाले हैं. And now he's there. So it works out, but you need to have your foot in the door. You need to be specific about where you can latch on to and where you can build on. It's good to have those contacts. A lot of things that have come to me in life, some of the most fantastic work personally that I've done in litigation was not litigation. There is NLIU. So when I was working with the Solicitor General, his junior is an NLIU graduate. He recently became the Advocate General of Jammu and Kashmir. He referred me to work with a counselor in Ladakh. So in Ladakh, it's a Schedule 6 territory, tribal areas, Schedule 6 of the Constitution. They don't have MLAs, they have counselors. That counselor was also a graduate of NLIU. I worked with him on a lot of research with respect to Schedule 6. Fantastic guy. Some of the most promising work, at least personally, I've done, which gives me insight on what law actually is. And that person is the one who recommended me to Mahip sir, to various other places, which allowed me to get into a job of this role. He has nothing to do with intellectual property. He just knows people. And that's, I think, 50% of the job here. You need to know people. That's another important thing. When you follow up with them, it's very important that you ask for specific instructions on what went right, what went wrong, and what is the expectation. Why I'm saying this over and over again is because what you learn in law versus what you do in the firm are two different things. Therefore, how you approach a subject has multiple other considerations. Say I work for an alcohol beverages company hires me. I'm sure you've seen advertisements around with Ranveer Singh holding a liquor bottle on Instagram and stuff like that, right? Is that legal? Is advertising alcohol legal in this country? How is that allowed? Someone said surrogate. But that's not surrogate. Surrogate is officer's choice के नाम पे मैं पानी बेच रहा हूँ. वो bottle लेके खड़ा है भाई. How is this surrogate? How is that legal? The question here is, now how does the client come to you? The client comes to you and says, I want to advertise, find a way. That's how the client comes to you. And when I put to you, you as the associate or the intern, that I want to advertise, you can't come up to me and says regulation, CCPA, barred. I know that. I want you to tell me what are the ways where it has been done, because it is clearly being done. So if X is doing, another company in the same trade will say, X is doing, why can't I do it? What are the pitfalls? So you have to think in terms of why is that deliverable being asked of you? Because it's a very stupid question to ask a junior, I want to advertise alcohol. Back comes the answer, no, you can't. It's illegal. Every one of you knows that. Half of you are from second year, first year, third year.
You know that. Then why am I asking you that stupid question? There has to be context, right? Generally, the firm will not tell you the context because it's client specific, but you'll have to gauge it. They will tell you in not so many words if I want to. So you have to have a conversation about that context as well. You need to, these are the various factors that you have to keep in mind when you're putting out a deliverable. That is also very important, because if I see a candidate who is able to pick up those cues, he's an instant winner for me. Instant winner, for sure. Because he knows what the context is about. That's another important thing. Then another thing that I had noted was, one final thing. You're sitting in, what is this place? The education city, Sonepat, Rajiv Gandhi. Yeah. You have very close proximity to Delhi. And more, I think Gurgaon is closer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Use that. Have you seen students from, what was that college in Bombay where they used to, GLC kids used to attend classes in the morning till around 11, 12 or whatever. And then they used to go intern. It worked really well, at least for the litigation people. Why? Because 12-1 बजे तक litigation firm में as an intern आपके पास कोई काम नहीं है, क्योंकि आपके सारे seniors court में आपसे कोई बात नहीं करने वाला है. I don't have the wherewithal. I come back around 2, 4, 6. That is when the work starts. तब तक उनकी classes खत्म हो गई हैं. That is hands-on training of what is happening every day in the courtrooms. There are people, not just in GLC, other colleges as well. I think Narsi Monji did it for some time. And I think some other NLUs, 1 or 2, NLUD does that a lot in terms of research, not courtrooms. But they have very hands-on approach as to what is happening over there right now, and they pick up work. Build a model like that if you can. I'm not saying it's going to be as easy for you because you're again 70 kilometers away. But sitting here doing research for firms that you can maybe meet those people on weekends and get an idea of a project or a litigation, work on it through the week, keep sending deliverables by email, hold calls, and maybe meet them every fortnight, every week, whatever works, once, twice a month. That's a good way to get trained in the job. That's something that your locational advantage is something you can capitalize on. From HNLU, I could never have done that because I can send emails, but there's only so much that can be done by emails. But you can travel in those 2 weeks, meet those people out there, and yeah, please think of innovative ways that you can use your locational advantage. Always make that a merit point in your conversation with whatever associate, senior associate, partners, whatever you're interning with. Tell them, I'm here only. So if you ever need me, I'll be around. That's a big card to play for you when you're sitting here. Yeah, that's that.
Networking is very important.
Extremely.
You need to be visible. You need to be seen, visible and seen. If you're not either of those, then you need to be heard. You need to write in such a way. You need to write in such a way that it's your voice, your words go and reach the right audience.
You have to stand out, yeah.
And always, like for example, if he gives you a research question, always anticipate the follow-up question. You already know that if you give him one judgment, he's going to ask, okay, have you done an authority check? What have other courts from other jurisdictions said about it? What's the position? Let's say if it's a very new principle, and I'm sure in IP it happens quite a lot.
Every day.
Or in any other sector.
Yeah.
What other common law jurisdictions have held about? Maybe it's a new kind of indirect claim that has such a situation occurred elsewhere, and what have common law judges spoken about. So all of that ancillary, how do you contrast a person who has just delivered Madras High Court said this, and another person Madras High Court said this, but a tribunal in a tax case also on this law point said this, but it's a tax law case. However, I present to you another situation that I read about from an Australian court, which have said this, so I see the law moving towards this way in the global south region. Obviously, you want to consider the research input given by the second counsel and not the first one, because it expanded the horizon. It made me think in a certain way that I wouldn't have thought.
It gave me perspective about something that I was not even ready for. So see, If I give you work and you come back and you give me work, that's a good day. Not work in the sense that I have to redo your draft. Work in the sense that, oh wow, this is great output. I actually have to sit down and read this. This is important. That is a good day. That is a good candidate.
For example, if you give somebody a draft to proof,
So, are you expecting them to just correct English or change a few references and send them back?
or would you want to
Read a draft.
in which a person has even, let's say, given you a solution, key, you know what, I have a further case law supporting for this,
Insight.
or or an insight, right? Key, I think the paragraph can be broken, the sentences are too long.
Correct.
So it's constructive criticism. It is not attacking his draft, but it is actually helping him structure the draft better. If you just correct a few commas, few English words, that will not leave a lasting impact. He's not going to remember you. You were just somebody who corrected his English and added a few full stops or prepositions.
And just with the industry that we're in right now, a year down the line, I won't need you to proofread for me.
Yes.
The job is being done in the server. Yeah. So you need to give me an insight. And okay, there also reading the room is important because there's a good number of people who don't like your insights. However good they might be, they don't want to hear from you. So you need to read the room कि इस बंदे को क्या मुझे additional input देना है या मुझे सिर्फ यहाँ comma full stop करना है. So as long as you have that background, give me insight. I would want that because at the end of the day, I also want a better product at the end to give to my client. Yeah. That's about it. Any questions? Any conversations? Anything? Yeah.
So I'm interested in IPR and I'm trying to coaching firms. So what shall be the procedure? Like first I go for the
For internships.
yes. So first I go for the firms, then I go for tier 2, then I go for tier 1. That way.
See, one thing interesting about IPR in this country is none of the top 6 firms, you know what the top six firms are. None of the top 6 firms have a sizable IPR practice. All of proper IPR in this country is all boutique firms, all of them. And that is something that you have to be very, very clear about because they approach it in a very institutionalized setup, the top 6 ones. Khaitan has a sizable IP practice. For all the other firms, if I'm not mistaken, IP is a part of the litigative setup. It's not a very niche thing that CAM tried something, but not a very robust thing that they have going on. But boutique firms and lawyers, especially in the Delhi circuit, not Madras, not Kolkata, not Bombay. Delhi is the IP capital, not just for India, but for the larger part of Asia. You have to be smart enough to find out who the proper names in the just go to the Delhi High Court, check what the roster is of who the judges in IPR are, spend a day or two there and figure out who those lawyers are. ज़्यादा नाम नहीं है, 50 नाम होंगे हद से हद. Work with them. It's the best. And they are boutique places. If you give them background, you read up some case while they were arguing, read up on it, maybe write a cover letter which includes 1 or 2 statements about that, send it to them. They will be more than happy to take you in. Best bet. There is something, yeah, this brings me to another point. What I've seen is, and I used to do, I never understood why other people didn't. When you're in and around Delhi, why don't you go physically meet the offices to apply for those places? That works a lot of times. Have a conversation, go to the courtrooms if you're considering your case, have a conversation with them. More often than not, there is a much higher statistical probability that you'll land a place over there in that organization. So yeah, research on those lawyers and you can find it online. Spicy IP Pado, there's 1500 judgments every day on IP. You'll find good people. Yeah, that's one way to go about. Yeah. Anything on, okay, just for my personal curiosity, out of this sample size, how many of you are interested in litigation per se? Not just IP, litigation per se. Show of hands. 1, 2, 3. No, you don't have to keep my heart even if it's 5 people. That's all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's 5. 6. Okay, cool. Okay, that's a good number. Thank you. Why not? If I may ask the others, why not, ma'am? You can tell me it's the money. That's all right. Any one of you.
Or is it that you're practicing or studying for judiciary or competitive exams?
Maybe that. Whatever is the reason. Anyone wants to venture or Yeah. But अभी तो 3 साल practice लग रही है ना. But your objective is to get into judgeship at the end of the day. Okay. Yeah. What background does it exist? Are you saying a background of a family in litigation is quite important to have a litigative practice? Okay, yeah. See, that is the answer that I'm looking for. Why I'm coming to this answer is when, and this is especially for the 4th years and 5th years out here, you have to be aware of your realities. I wanted to do litigation. I had a decent offer, good offer from an office. But the pay was not, as we all know, not good. It was not enough that would have sustained me respectfully in this city. So there is a basket of what do I want to do, what is available to me, and what I should do. Consider some of you have education loans. You should not destroy your credit score and go for a litigative job. Ideally, that's the should bit, but you still want to. Do you have some semblance of an offer, what is available to you, which takes care of, maybe it's not pure litigation, maybe it's some variation of a litigation, maybe IBC people, IBC asset reconstruction companies and others, they have litigators. They don't go to courtrooms every day, and when they do, it's a very specific niche, but it's a much better pay as compared to a general litigator. So out of those 3 baskets, those 3 sets, where does your union lie? Don't stop doing litigation just because there's no good money or you need a background. Those are very real things. I completely agree with you. Those are hindrances that you will face in life. I am completely in agreement with you there. But don't stop just because you think, oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be equally and maybe more tough in corporate setups. I have had a fairly easy run in litigation for now. I don't understand how these people do what they do. But hats off. I could have never done it.
And the same thing I could say about him, because I started with litigation, regulatory litigation, going to tribunals, commissions, and getting tariff approved and this, that. But I was myself carrying a lot of files on my court club to carry a senior citizen.
Yeah.
And the files dropped in the middle of the
courtroom.
Reach the dais. That gave me so much pressure कि टाइम पे कोर्ट नहीं आना है, टाइम पे डाइस भी पहुंचना है with all the files. It added a lot of pressure कि at that point in moment you have to be your best self.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do it. I thought this is not for me. I shifted away after a year. But what that gave me was that 1 year of litigation still is with me. Why? Because of the way I look at judgments.
Yeah.
People in corporate setup are not reading judgments. They are just reading memos, notes and disclaimers, qualifications, notes to board minutes. So for me, like I consider corporate a dry subject that way. There are judgments as well. But if let's say he transitions to a corporate field, the way he will address his opinions or notes will be slightly different. He will go to the facts of the case, then the ratio. Otherwise, in people in other practice areas will just say, "Judge ne what has the judge held? Do line highlight karke. That's how." But a litigator will always read observations. Obiter kya hai? Decipher it, disintegrate it from the facts. किसने argument को distinguish को from the holding or from the ruling.
We have to provide an insurance in advance when we're advising clients in litigation, because the judge is already there, the judgment is already there. You have to work against it. If you're advising in something that's about to come in, if you're already on a case, that's a different story altogether. But if you're going to advise on something that is about to, you're planning for a litigation, you're seeing that this person is going to infringe on your rights, what are you going to do about it? Then you have to do a review of what all has already happened. You have to keep that background in mind, and then only can you go forward. So yeah, that's
why I feel that litigators can transition into other aspects of other practice areas of law much easily than the other way around. That's my personal opinion. You may get to differ.
I agree to the limited extent that I don't think litigators make good bosses, or they don't run teams effectively. That's something that I've observed both in corporate setups. So I will have a more fulfilled aspiration professional curve if I'm in a corporate setup than in a litigative setup, because half the time I'm not controlling my diary and my day. And the pressure is so much, unnecessary by the way, half of the time it's not even needed. It's so much that it takes the happiness out of the courtroom, which is again something you should consider. If you can, in the face of that kind of anxiety and pressure, you can be like, okay, yeah, I'll handle this. That overconfidence is slightly, and please be clear, not confidence, overconfidence is slightly necessary to get into the litigative setup. Yeah. That's about it. Any other questions? Yeah.
Perception of the people around us. Like if we are starting from the first end, then people would say that you are not made for litigation, your personality is not that, and all that stuff. They would say.
How many of your parents were not okay with you choosing law? You still did it. You know, I'll give you another anecdote. My father, I belong to Lucknow. 10th standard say I was clear ki I didn't us time pe, this was 10th May and this was 2013, and I was clear that this is not something I want to do, not engineering I mean, and तभी से मुझे clear था कि law करना है. You can sit down. And I told my father that see, this was, I don't know if you guys have it or not now, but at that time 10th के बाद ना बोर्ड एग्जाम्स के बाद वो 2-3 महीने का कैप होता था, छुट्टी मिलती थी जब आप डिसाइड करते थे आपकी स्ट्रीम क्या होगी, आप साइंस लोगे, कॉमर्स लोगे, ह्यूमैनिटीज वगैरह. सो वी वर सिटिंग एट द ब्रेकफास्ट टेबल एंड ही वाज रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर एंड आई टोल्ड हिम कि general conversation around the house, what are you going to pick 2 months down the line? I told him, see, I've done a bit of reading. There's और उस टाइम पे magic circle firms होती थी UK, US, insane amounts of money. And I said, यही करना है मुझे. I want to get into lawyering. I like this. You know what he did? He was reading the newspaper, closed the newspaper, put it down, went inside in his room, opened some files. He picked up a paper, came out, gave it to me. It was his LLB degree. I am 16 years of age. I don't know my father has an LLB degree. And he says, हमने भी किया है. कुछ नहीं होता है. So if you go by that standard that someone else is telling you, अरे तुम first generation हो, तुम्हें नहीं करना चाहिए. नहीं भाई, कर रहे हैं और अच्छा कर रहे हैं. So that's not, it's going to be tougher, sure. That is the reality. But that doesn't mean it should discount you from you doing what you actually want. Sure, take a shot, yeah. No problem.
In fact, this just reminded me of an essay that Justice Ayatollah had written. I'd read about this essay when we were in the library. We had a Justice Ayatollah collection. And in his own book, he had written an essay about, are good lawyers made or are they born? And he reasons both sides and he reaches a conclusion, which I'm not going to tell you the conclusion. Should go read about it. It's a short essay, just 3-4 pages. But he reasons them very well. So that will maybe inspire you as to which side do you lie on, which argument do you side with.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for these insightful words. As we approach the conclusions of today's enriching trading program, I wish to convey our most heartfelt thank you to all the 3 distinguished speakers, Mr. Akshay sir, Mr. Mahip sir, and Mr. Achyut Tewari sir. The knowledge, the experience, and the perspective that you have so generously shared today will guide us in our professional careers. You have not merely addressed us, you have mentored us, and that's something we will carry forward throughout our career. Now, I would like to invite Vanshas to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected speakers, honored faculty, and dear students, on behalf of Internship and Placement Cell, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Sonepat, I extend our most sincere and heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers for graciously giving us their time and for sharing their invaluable experiences and guidance with such openness and warmth. I would also like to express our heartfelt thanks to our faculty convener, Dr. Balwinder Kaur ma'am, for her constant support and guidance. I would also like to appreciate the efforts of Internship and Placement Cell team for successfully organizing this session. Lastly, I would like to thank all the students for their active participation and enthusiasm, which made this session engaging and meaningful. Thank you all once again. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Also, to conclude, I'm very thankful to the entire IPC team, Raghav, Shubhangi, Parikshit, Piyush, बाकियों का नाम नहीं पता, but I see your faces. Thank you so much. This event was successful only because of you guys. You did it. Thank you. And of course, also I'm also thankful to the Honorable Vice-Chancellor sir and Registrar sir for giving us the space to work on it. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and I hope attendance आपको मिली है, नाम लिख दिए आप लोगों ने. And thank you for being here on a Saturday at such early hours.
जिसको अटेंडेंस नहीं मिली है वो मनी सर को 3 बार थैंक यू बोलना.
और 50 ईयर वालों के मैंने चेहरे देख लिए. Thank you. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you so much for the university for inviting us.
Thank you.